Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting episode of Inspired. This is me, Richa Sharma, sharing the stories that are genuinely meaningful not just for your personality development but also will help you enrich your answers in various aspects of UPSC examination. Today I'm going to narrate the stories, and very proudly so, of not just one but three superheroes of India.
ನಾನು ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಒತ್ತಿ ಬೀಜ ಸಿಕ್ತಿದ್ದು.
बिना पानी के कोई पेड़ लगाए। इसमें पौधे को उसके पूरे जीवन काल में केवल 1 लीटर पानी की जरूरत होती है।
The peoples of the periphery, they can get the treatment easily.
And how they have turned about the lives of millions of people. So in today's Inspired episode, we are going to learn about the stories of three of the many Padma Shri awardees of our country.
श्रीमती तुलसी गौड़ा, समाज सेवा पर्यावरण। श्री सुंदरम वर्मा, समाज सेवा पर्यावरण। डॉक्टर अरुणोदय मंडल, चिकित्सा।
Padma Shri is a national honor. And so when we think of national honors, we often imagine well-known faces, public applauses, and achievements that have unfolded themselves in scale and forms of publicity. You might be thinking that we must be knowing a lot of Padma Shri awardees already. Yet interestingly, some of India's most astonishing contributions have unfolded far from the spotlight, carried out over decades by people whose lives were never interested in fame. One such life story is of Padma Shri Tulsi Gowda. Tulsi Gowda's life began in circumstances that most would describe as unfortunate and simply challenging. She was born in 1944 in Honali Taluk of Karnataka's district. She belonged to the Halakki tribal community, and as seen in the case of most of the tribals in India, she faced extreme poverty since her childhood. At the age of 2, she lost her father and her family lived in persistent poverty.
ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಾನು ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಮದುವೆ ಆದ ನಂಗೆ ಸಣ್ಣಿದ್ದಾಗ ಒಂದು 10-12 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ನಾನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ತಾಯಿಯೋ ಮಾಡೋದು, ತಂದೆ ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು 3 ವರ್ಷ ಆದಾಗ ತಂದು ಕಳೆದು ಹೋಗ್ಯ.
Formal education, which is simply accessible for most of us, was for many unfortunate reasons never accessible to her and her family. The nearest school was itself very, very far away, and survival itself demanded daily effort. But as they say, if God closes one door for you, He will open many others. So what she did have was proximity to the forest of Western Ghats. Western Ghat, one of the most beautiful places of the country. An interesting turn of events, over time, this landscape became her teacher. From childhood, she learned to observe seeds, soil, rainfall, and growth patterns. She could identify tree species simply by handling the seeds and understood which plant would thrive in what particular condition. This exceptional knowledge that she inherited was not from the books, classrooms, botany classes, but accumulated slowly through curiosity, attention, and experience. In 1980s, Tulsi Gowda began working as a daily wage nursery worker with the Karnataka Forest Department. For decades, she participated in afforestation efforts across districts such as Uttar Kannada and Dharwad. Her focus remained on native species that supported local ecosystem, retained groundwater, and sustained the bird life. She trained local villagers and forest workers, especially women, passing on this practical knowledge that she had on to others, which also ensured continuity of her legacy. By the end of her working life, she helped plant and nurture more than 30,000 trees. Locals began calling her the encyclopedia of the forest, a sheer recognition rooted in their sheer trust on her. And then comes 2021, where she received Padma Shri and walked barefoot into Rashtrapati Bhavan, dressed very simply, just like how she has lived her life, unchanged by all the attention that she was getting. And even after receiving the award, most of us would go and post it onto the Instagram and Facebook. She returned quietly to her village and continued working with saplings until her death in January 2024. Now, what remains with us are those forests of Western Ghats that continue to grow, reflecting her love for nature. While Tulsi Gowda worked in one of India's most fertile ecological regions, our second national hero, Sundaram Verma, laboured under entirely different conditions, very hostile area. This was Rajasthan. Rajasthan is a land shaped by water scarcity. Many regions receive, in fact, less than 300 millimeters of rainfall annually, and drought is a recurring reality. Conventional wisdom holds that trees that he wanted to plant cannot survive here without continuous irrigation. And in 1985, Sundaram Verma, a farmer from Rajasthan, chose to challenge this belief. Now let us learn how to make impossible a reality. Now he asks a simple question. Instead of increasing the water usage, which is difficult in the given terrain of Rajasthan, can we focus on retaining the little rain that fell during the monsoon?
एक पौधा 10 से 20 वर्ग मीटर जगह घेरता है, तो हर साल उसके चारों ओर 5,000 से 10,000 लीटर पानी बरसता है, जमीन में अवशोषित होता है। वो जो अवशोषित होता है उस पानी को हम कंजर्व करने की जो तकनीक है वही 1 लीटर पानी वाली तकनीक है। वो जो पानी कंजर्व कर रहे हैं वो पानी पौधे को मिलता है, हम ऊपर से केवल 1 लीटर पानी देते हैं।
By plowing the land deeply before planting, he allowed the soil to store moisture. After the rains, he planted saplings and gave each one just a single liter of water, single liter.
बिना पानी के कोई पेड़ लगाए, इसमें पौधे को उसके पूरे जीवन काल में केवल 1 लीटर पानी की जरूरत होती है।
There was no repeated irrigation. The saplings were forced to adapt, growing deeper roots to access stored moisture. Contrary to expectations, they survived and matured into healthy trees. And over the next several decades, this method allowed Sundaram Verma to grow more than 60,000 trees in the drought-prone land, conserving nearly 9 lakh liters of water in the process. This is a wonderful example of local effort and rainwater harvesting. This contribution in fact went beyond afforestation. He preserved over 700 native seed varieties that were disappearing due to spread of commercial hybrids. He shared these seeds freely and trained thousands of farmers across many states, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, in sustainable low-cost farming techniques. Now finally, he received Padma Shri in 2019, and just like Tulsi Gowda, he also, after receiving Padma Shri, returned back to his work, returned back to his fields, having proven that solutions rooted in observation can often outperform the expensive interventions. Well, we can also compare this practice with the input-intensive green revolution belt of India and how exploited the resources are. Now coming back to the third story. When you imagine Eastern India, are you able to imagine the Sundarbans of West Bengal? There was a particular Pargana, the South 24 Pargana district, which was one of the most ecologically sensitive and geographically isolated regions of the country. Because of which, the problem was not water, the problem was not deforestation, the problem was lack of infrastructure, especially healthcare infrastructure was sparse, transport was unreliable, and medical emergencies often became fatal, simply because help arrived too late. Here comes Dr. Arunoday Mondal, who encountered this reality early in his medical career. So after completing his MBBS and establishing a practice in Kolkata, he saw patients from Sundarbans 24 Pargana who had travelled long distances, many beyond the point of recovery. So as much as he wanted to save them, he just couldn't. So in the late 1990s, he made a decision that would define his life.
Government health facilities has yet not reached to the terminal people of this area. I committed to provide scientific medical treatment to the downtrodden people of this area as far as possible.
Every weekend, he would return. For more than 23 years, Dr. Mondal has travelled approximately 160 kilometers every Saturday using trains, sometimes autos, sometimes boats and sometimes motorcycle to reach the remote villages in the Sundarbans. There, he runs a free clinic called Sujan, treating over 12,000 patients annually. His work includes snakebite management, maternal health care, paralysis treatment, infection, chronic disease management. There are no consultation fees and interestingly, no appointment system in his Sujan hospital.
আর তো ডাক্তারবাবুকে দিতে হয়, তার জন্য এখান থেকে আমাদের খুব ভালো পরিষেবা পাওয়া যায়, যেখানে আমাদের 400 থেকে 500 টাকার জায়গায় 100 টাকার বিনিময়ে আমরা ওষুধও পাচ্ছি এবং ভালো পরিষেবাও পাওয়া যাচ্ছে।
Anyone who arrives is treated.
The peoples of the periphery, they can get the treatment easily.
For years, his work remained largely unknown outside the region, and he never complained about it. There were no campaigns, no platforms, no advertisement, only consistency. And finally, in 2020, he was recognized and awarded by Padma Shri. He remarked that the true recognition lay in the trust of the patients who knew that he would return weekend after weekend. These 3 lives, unfolded in different landscapes. They were shaped by different challenges, but they all shared some of the common values. You know what these values are? None of them waited for ideal conditions. None of them stopped because recognition was delayed. None of them was disheartened because it could not capture the masses' attention. None of them measured success in quick results. And now for you guys, for UPSC aspirants, this is deeply relevant. This examination, itself is a test of 3 things: patience, resilience, and moral clarity. For many people, years may pass without visible success. For many people, results may not reflect the effort immediately. But just like forests, just like the Chinese bamboo story that you must have heard of, growing silently, roots strengthen before anything is visible above ground. These stories remind aspirants that preparation is not just about clearing an exam. It is about becoming the kind of person who can endure uncertainty, adapt methods, and continue working without seeking external validation. And this is a very important lesson from today's inspired episode. Because think about it. Ranks come and go. Attempts are counted. But character is built daily. And in the long run, it is character, not the rank, that sustains a life in public service. So on that note, I will request you to not just take notes, but also internalize these stories into your character, as well as to use it for enriching your essays and ethics. Sayonara, Shabba Khair, till we meet again.